The wrestling world just witnessed something nobody saw coming, and the fallout is absolutely devastating for everyone involved. Seth Rollins stood in that ring on Monday Night Raw with tears streaming down his face as he did something that would break the hearts of millions of fans around the world. The Visionary had to relinquish the World Heavyweight Championship due to an injury that has left him unable to compete, and the emotional weight of that moment hit everyone like a freight train. Before we dive deep into what happened and what this means for the future of WWE, make sure you hit that subscribe button because you don't want to miss any updates on this developing story. The injury Seth Rollins has been dealing with is far more serious than anyone initially thought, and it has reached a point where continuing to compete would put his entire career at risk. Reports coming out of WWE medical staff indicate that Rollins has been wrestling through significant pain for weeks now, trying to hold onto that championship and represent the brand the way he always has. The man is a warrior in every sense of the word, but even warriors have their limits, and this injury pushed him past the point where he could physically continue. Sources close to the situation reveal that multiple doctors advised him to take time off immediately, and the decision to vacate the title wasn't something he wanted to do but rather something he had to do for his long-term health. When Seth walked out onto that Raw stage, you could see the devastation written all across his face before he even said a single word. The crowd knew something serious was about to happen because you don't see Seth Rollins emotional like that very often. He grabbed that microphone and his voice cracked as he began explaining to the WWE Universe that he would not be able to defend his championship. The crowd fell silent, and you could feel the collective heartbreak rippling through the arena as fans realized what was about to happen. Seth talked about how much the championship meant to him and how hard he fought to earn it and keep it, but his body was telling him a different story now. The cameras caught Roman Reigns backstage watching the entire segment unfold on a monitor, and the emotion on his face was unmistakable. Roman and Seth have a history that goes back years through their time in the Shield, and despite all the battles they've had against each other, there's a mutual respect that runs deep. Seeing his former brother-in-arms having to give up something he worked so hard for clearly affected Roman in a profound way. He stood there with his arms crossed, and you could see his jaw clench as Seth made the announcement. Roman knows what it's like to be forced away from the ring due to health issues, and watching someone else go through that pain brought back memories he probably never wanted to revisit. Triple H was shown in his office during the segment, and the look on his face told the entire story without him needing to say anything at all. As the chief content officer of WWE, he has to make tough business decisions, but this wasn't just business for him. Triple H has known Seth Rollins since he was a young kid trying to break into the industry, and he watched him grow into one of the best performers in the world. The emotional investment Triple H has in Seth's career goes beyond contracts and championships. When the cameras focused on him during Seth's speech, you could see genuine sadness and concern etched across his features. He wasn't wearing his corporate mask in that moment, he was showing the human side that sometimes gets lost in the spectacle of professional wrestling. The championship that Seth held meant everything to him because of how he won it and what it represented for his career resurgence. After all the ups and downs and injuries and setbacks, he had climbed back to the top of the mountain only to have his body betray him at the worst possible time. The title represented his dedication and his refusal to quit even when everything seemed stacked against him. Having to hand it over felt like giving up a piece of his identity, and you could see that struggle play out in real time as he stood in that ring. The championship belt sat on his shoulder one last time before he carefully placed it down, knowing he wouldn't be picking it up again for a while. WWE medical staff have been working around the clock to determine the exact extent of Seth's injury and formulate a recovery plan that will get him back to full health. The initial reports suggest that he's dealing with multiple issues that have compounded over time rather than one single catastrophic injury. Years of performing at the highest level and putting his body through hell have finally caught up with him in a way that can't be ignored anymore. The medical team made it clear that if he continued wrestling without proper treatment and rest, he would risk permanent damage that could end his career entirely. That reality check was what ultimately led to the decision to vacate the title, even though every fiber of his being wanted to keep fighting. The WWE locker room rallied around Seth in the aftermath of his announcement, with numerous superstars taking to social media to express their support and admiration. These are competitors who face him in the ring and know firsthand how tough and resilient he truly is. Seeing someone they respect so much having to step away hit everyone hard, and the messages of encouragement started flooding in almost immediately. Fellow wrestlers understand the physical toll this business takes better than anyone, and they know what Seth is going through right now. The brotherhood and sisterhood that exists behind the scenes became evident as the entire roster showed up for one of their own during his darkest professional moment. The tournament to crown a new World Heavyweight Champion was announced immediately following Seth's relinquishment, and while it's necessary for business, it feels hollow given the circumstances. Nobody wanted to win the championship this way, and the competitors who will be fighting for it know they're stepping into a void left by someone who gave everything for that title. The tournament will feature some of the biggest names on the roster, but there will always be an asterisk in everyone's mind about how this championship reign began. The wrestler who ultimately wins will carry the responsibility of honoring what Seth built and keeping the championship prestigious during his absence. Roman Reigns addressed the situation in a backstage interview later in the night, and his words carried unexpected weight. He talked about how Seth is one of the toughest competitors he's ever faced and how much respect he has for the decision to prioritize his health. Roman mentioned that it takes more courage to step away than it does to keep fighting through pain and potentially destroy yourself in the process. His comments showed a maturity and understanding that comes from his own experiences dealing with health issues. The fact that Roman took time to publicly acknowledge Seth's situation speaks volumes about their relationship and the bond they formed years ago that still exists today. Triple H held a press conference following Raw to address the media and answer questions about Seth's status and the company's plans moving forward. He was visibly emotional when discussing Seth and had to pause several times to collect himself before continuing. Triple H explained that the decision was made with Seth's long-term future in mind and that WWE fully supports him taking whatever time he needs to heal properly. He emphasized that Seth's health is the priority above all else, including television ratings and championship lineages. The vulnerability Triple H showed during that press conference revealed just how much this situation affected him personally beyond his role as an executive. The injury timeline remains uncertain, and that's one of the hardest parts for Seth and the fans to accept. There's no clear date circled on the calendar when he'll be able to return to action, and that ambiguity creates anxiety and frustration. Injuries in professional wrestling are unpredictable, and what might seem like a few weeks can easily turn into several months depending on how the body responds to treatment. Seth has expressed his determination to come back stronger than ever, but he also knows he can't rush the process without risking even more serious consequences. The waiting game begins now, and it's going to test his patience and mental fortitude in ways that physical competition never could. Fans around the world took to social media to share their reactions, and the overwhelming sentiment was one of sadness mixed with appreciation for everything Seth has done. The hashtags supporting him trend worldwide within hours of the announcement as the WWE Universe united in showing their love for the visionary. People shared their favorite Seth Rollins moments and matches, while others simply sent messages of encouragement and hope for a speedy recovery. The outpouring of support demonstrated just how beloved Seth is among wrestling fans and how much his work has meant to people over the years. In an industry where fans can be harsh and unforgiving, the universal support for Seth showed the respect he's earned. The creative team now faces the challenge of reshaping storylines and adjusting plans that were built around Seth holding the championship. Months of booking have to be rewritten and new directions have to be established for multiple wrestlers whose paths were supposed to intersect with Seth's title reign. This kind of sudden change throws everything into chaos and requires quick thinking and adaptability from the writers and producers. While it's a difficult situation from a creative standpoint, everyone understands that Seth's health comes first and adjustments simply have to be made. The show must go on, as they say, but it will go on with a giant Seth Rollins-shaped hole in it for the foreseeable future. Roman's reaction continues to resonate with fans because it shows a different side of the tribal chief that we don't often get to see. His concern for Seth revealed the human being behind the character and reminded everyone that these are real people with real relationships beyond what we see on television. The Shield Brotherhood clearly still means something even after all these years and all the betrayals and battles they've been through. Roman's emotional response gave fans a glimpse into the genuine friendships that exist in the wrestling business and how these competitors look out for each other when it really matters. Triple H's tears weren't just for show, and anyone who knows his history with Seth understands why this hit him so hard. He's been a mentor and supporter of Seth's career from the very beginning, and watching someone he helped develop have to step away due to injury brings up painful memories of his own career ending. Triple H knows what it's like to have your body tell you it's time to stop, and seeing Seth face that reality at a relatively young age clearly affected him deeply. The genuine emotion he displayed reminded fans that behind the corporate structure there are people who care about these wrestlers as individuals, not just as performers. Seth's legacy was already secure before this injury, but the way he handled this situation only added to his reputation as a true professional. Standing in front of thousands of fans and millions watching at home to admit vulnerability and relinquish something you worked so hard for takes incredible courage. Seth could have tried to hide the extent of his injury or push through for a few more weeks, but instead he made the responsible decision even though it broke his heart. That kind of integrity and self-awareness is rare in any industry, and it's part of what makes him such a respected figure in professional wrestling. The recovery process will test Seth mentally as much as physically because wrestlers thrive on the adrenaline and competition that comes with performing. Being forced to watch from the sidelines while others compete for the championship he built will be incredibly difficult. Seth is someone who defines himself through his work in the ring, and having that taken away temporarily will require him to find new ways to stay connected to the business and his passion. The mental game of recovery is often harder than the physical rehabilitation, and Seth will need all the support he can get from his family, friends, and fans during this challenging time. The announcement sent shockwaves through the entire wrestling industry, not just WWE, as competitors and fans from all promotions expressed their support. Seth Rollins is respected across the board as one of the best in the world, and when someone of his caliber goes down, everyone feels it. The wrestling community came together in a beautiful way to lift up one of their own and show that despite the competitive nature of the business, there's still unity when it matters most. Messages came in from wrestlers in AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and independent promotions, all wishing Seth a full and speedy recovery. As WWE moves forward without Seth as champion, the shadow of his absence will loom large over everything. The new champion, whoever it ends up being, will inevitably be compared to Seth and judged on whether they can fill the massive void he left behind. It's an unenviable position to be in, but it's also an opportunity for someone to step up and prove themselves worthy of carrying the torch. Seth built something special with that championship during his reign, and the challenge now is for someone else to honor that legacy while creating their own path. The championship scene will never be quite the same without the visionary, but the show must continue and new stars will emerge from this situation. If you want to stay updated on Seth Rollins' recovery and all the latest developments in WWE, make sure you subscribe to our channel right now, because we'll be bringing you every single update as soon as it happens. Don't miss a moment of this ongoing story and join our community of dedicated wrestling fans who want to stay informed about everything happening in the world of sports entertainment.